Okay, I'm going to show you guys how the college basketball and NBA system works, where it's all about recent play and basically buying low on teams playing bad, and we're going to sell on teams that are actually playing good, coming off big wins. We fade those teams, and any team coming off a big win or a big win streak, we fade these teams coming off the streaks. All right. And when we look at this, we also make sure that we're opposite the public in these situations. So I'm going to show you starting with 2021-2022 season first. This was hitting at a very high rate last year. You can see that we got the first game, Pelicans plus 7.5. And I'm just going to show you guys how this works so you can understand. I know you just see a spreadsheet, but I want you to actually understand what we're looking at here. Pelicans coming off 2 straight games where they lost against the spread, so they're minus 26 ATS points. That ATS means against the spread points, meaning that I believe that all the computers that Vegas uses, all those guys, they know what they're doing. So when I see that a team is underachieving when they're minus 26 ATS points, the team's only going to play better in the next couple games. They come out and have a good showing. So Pelicans, they lost 2 straight against the spread, ended up winning against the spread. So we're going to go down to show you some games here. Pacers were +3. I'm going to show you how we fade teams as well. So the Heat, they were actually the team that we wanted to fade. The Heat were coming off plus 39 ATS points, and they had a blowout win in that last game that they played. So we're talking about the last game that the Heat played, coming off that big blowout, coming to a spot where now they're on the road. They're a small favorite. Great spot for the Pacers. The Pacers won outright. Look at this, 32% of the bets, because everybody was going nuts because the Heat won in a blowout the previous game. Grizzlies +6 here. You guys can match up all the dates here. October 28th, this is 2021. Grizzlies were actually embarrassed the last game. They ended up losing by 20 points in that game. Team getting embarrassed, coming back as an underdog, ended up covering against the Warriors. Next game, we got Clippers +3. This is another fade spot, fading of the Blazers here. Blazers, they had a huge blowout win, won by 29 points, plus 26 ATS points. Look at this. Public went nuts taking the Blazers. 32% of the bets on the Clippers. We take the Clippers in these great dog spots. As you can see, in a very high rate to start to the 2021-2022 season. Guys, there's definitely going to be losses. This is a realistic system, basically. I'm not claiming some 70% system here, but it does hit around 60% long term. This are smart bets that hit. Looks like we just barely won here. I want to show you how we also take the favorites for these games as well, not just underdogs. I love taking these blowout type of spreads, minus 11.5. Looks like the Suns, 3 straight games where they actually lost against the spread. They got all the way down to minus 38 ATS points. So just think of it, guys. A good stock. This is a great Suns team. They're a top 5 team. Playing bad, losing 3 straight games in a row. Then they get an average to bad team coming in here where they're a double-digit favorite. That game ended up covering. Mavericks looks like it lost. There was a fade spot. Here are the Heat. Heat came off a blowout win, 26 points. Again, we cashed in against the Heat earlier in the season on that, but it looks like that was just a loss in that spot. Loss on the Mavericks. Celtics +7 got the win. And guys, look, as we saw, we lost on the Heat. But again, the next spot, when you fade the same team, it hits a high rate. Look at the Heat. They got all the way up to winning 5 straight games against the spread, and they got all the way up to plus 69 ATS points, which was crazy. You can see we only had 34% of the bets on the Celtics. Great spot there. Look at the next game, the 7th, November 7th. Kings blowout win, 30 points right there, the last game. This is where we fade a team. Huge blowout win. Public goes nuts. Pacers +2. The next game, we fade the Kings, win outright. So those are giving you some examples of the blowout type of stuff. We can see, looks like a win and a loss. We had the Hornets +5. We had the Hornets. They lost 5 straight games against the spread, got all the way down to minus 60 ATS points. They underachieved the whole time for 5 straight games, and that's when, out of nowhere, the team just comes out once they see that they're an underdog. No one's betting them. These guys are down and out. These are great spots. Looks like we had the same spot. Hawks lost 5 straight against the spread. We ended up losing that game. Again, we're going to take our losses. So I want to show you an example of how we take the big spread here. So we have the Grizzlies -12 facing the Rockets. Rockets were one of the worst teams in the NBA. Grizzlies, minus 53 ATS points. This is a playoff good team right here. They ended up losing 3 straight games against the spread. This was close to, looks like 47% was the percentage here. That's why if it's close to 50-50, but I love the spot here. Look at this, guys. They won by 34 points here in that game. We can show another example. Look at this. The Jazz were minus 11.5. This was a 50-50 proposition here, bet percentage. But guys, it's all about the spots. Look at this. Jazz got down to minus 35 ATS points. They lost 2 straight games against the spread. So when these teams, they're down and out, they're underachieving, we wait for them to come out and play a great game. Of course, they're going to play a great game. Look at this, guys. They're playing bad. They're motivated now coming in, and they're facing the Sixers, who are missing Simmons, Embiid, and Thibault. So again, I only wait for these great spots. They won by, look at that, 35 points, guys. They won that game. All right, so now we start getting on a roll here with this system. Look at this. Some Pelicans embarrassed, lost by 22 points, and win outright. Look at that, plus 6.5 wins outright. Like I said, guys, this hits a very high rate. I'm just trying to show you something different since I'm showing you the same kind of stuff, but it's amazing how many games you can see throughout the season where this comes through. Nuggets lost 6 straight against the spread. They got all the way down to minus 68 ATS points, 35% of the bets only. Just getting plus 3, win outright. Starting to get more. Pelicans plus 7, win outright. The Mavericks, they won in a blowout by 32 points the previous game. Public goes nuts. 30% of the bets on the Pelicans. And again, we said win outright. The Nuggets, the last game they lost outright as they were a minus 8 favorites. So they were upset in that game. So what happens? They come back as an underdog, as a small dog, win the game outright. Look at this huge streak by the Grizzlies during the season. It looks like the Grizzlies were a dog for a while. So then out of nowhere, look, the Grizzlies won 5 straight against the spread. Usually never gets this high. Look at this, plus 122 ATS points is because they're hitting a bunch of underdog games. So the team just keeps covering as dog. All of a sudden, they become that favorite because they're the darling of the public. And all of a sudden, they were getting 60-80% of the bets. We were only getting 32% with the Mavericks. That's why we jumped on the Mavericks. So that's when people say, oh, why are the Mavericks only getting plus 2? Because the public's just looking at what's going on the previous week or two, just getting fooled by how the teams have been playing. You can't look at how teams have just been playing recently. It has nothing to do with betting. It has to do with the exact spot of that day, what's going on with the matchup. Sixers lost, embarrassed 22 points, lost 3 straight games against the spread, won outright against the Warriors. All right, so we're seeing a trend there. Look at all these wins. I'll go slow here now that you guys kind of understand what's going on. Run through here, see all the games with the notes right next to them to the right. Just want to keep scrolling down for you guys. You can see that. Again, see some losses here. When they lose by 0.5 point. They're very close losses because this is just a great spot where we're just buying stock in these teams and they play great in these situations. All right, so showing you guys all the way down. Look at this. Like, we get great spots here where we can also see like a revenge spot. This is another part of the system. Somehow I ended up in here, but you can see Mississippi State. It was a same season type of revenge game against Ole Miss. Again, just giving you guys some more of my secrets here. Ole Miss was missing their top scorer in the game, and Mississippi State wanted revenge. They were only getting 38% of the bets. So that was an easy blowout actually there. So again, just continue down. Again, Purdue, really good team. They went on a streak, lost 3 straight games against the spread. Looks like they just ended up with a push on that game. But again, these are just smart bets. Look at the Bucks. Great team. Top 5 team, minus 10.5. They were on a minus 75 ATS points streak. You never see that. Great team. And then they were only getting 38% of the bets because people were just saying, oh, the Bucks stink right now. They ended up winning that game by 24. So again, this just always happens. People just overreact to the recent games, and just scrolling down, we'll get all the way to March and finally in April, and that's when we get the baseball. So I'm going to switch it over. That was 2001, 2022, showing you 2022-23, which is this season that we're doing right now. And you guys can see the same type of game. Sixers, look at this, minus 12. Everyone saw them start out bad, think they stink. No, they don't stink. That's why they're minus 12. 36% of the bets. They lost 3 straight games against the spread, got all the way down to minus 32 ATS points, ended up covering that game. Bulls, they were embarrassed, lost by 32 points, win outright, plus 5.5 against the Celtics, who actually made the championship last year. So again, just finding these spots. Look at all the bet percentage, how low it is, guys. Nobody is betting these teams. And that's the type of teams that we want to be on, because these guys are motivated. These games hit at a high rate. You can see the last season, there was a ridiculous amount of wins. As you can see, we're going to take some losses. The stuff evens out a little bit. Not a 70 to 80% system. It's something that's going to hit 60% and basically just grow the profits as the season go. Looks like this is a fade spot. The Nuggets had a blowout win of 23 points. And this is also, you add another layer here, guys. Look at this. No Jokic in that game, okay? We took the Knicks there, won outright. Everybody was betting the Nuggets, but the average bettor doesn't have all the info and know that, hey, Jokic is out. They're coming off that big blowout. So again, that's how they get full betting the Nuggets, just because they saw the previous game. So running down the rest of the games, here's another spot. Took the Mavericks minus 9 against the Nuggets on November 18th. The Mavs lost 9 straight games against the spread. Pretty crazy. They got all the way down to minus 73 ATS points. They finally got in a spot where the public gave up on them. They only ended up 32% of the bets. As you can see, I put notes. I have very strict rules. Usually I do minus 10 or more for this type of situation. But minus 9 was fine. Looks like I put down because they were missing Jokic and they were missing Murray, their 2 top scorers. So that was just too good of a spot to pass up there. Knicks again, embarrassed last game, lost 2 straight against the spread, went outright. Like I said, guys, these hit pretty crazy. Looks like we lost these 2 in a row. And a little bit of overachieving there for St. John's. They just squeaked that out, though. But the rest of the games, guys, you can see this means lose outright. Losing 2 straight against the spread were the Warriors. Embarrassed by 45 points in one of those games that they lost the previous game. They bounced back hard, minus 10. And guys, there's a lot of bounce back spots. You don't want to take the bounce back spots that everybody knows about where you got 60 to 70% here. You want to take it when you're opposite the public. All right, these are when they hit. But again, I'll just scroll down the rest. This Mavericks game, I'm doing this video on December 1st of 2022. So these are the most recent games. Forgot to plug this in. Mavericks won outright. Lost 4 straight against the spread, minus 27 ATS points. And I also made a note, one of those games they lost as a minus 10 favorite. That's a crazy loss right there. So this is coming off of crazy losses, underachieving. The teams come back. Nobody bets them because they don't want to touch a team that lost as a minus 10 favorite like that. They think they stink. But these teams are still, all the teams, we know how good they are before the season starts. People just overreact throughout the season. All right, and then the last night, we just hit the Notre Dame +2. That game won easily, actually. They ended up winning by 18. They lost outright. They were a minus 6 favorite last game. They lost that game outright. It was a bad loss. Lost minus 18 ATS points there. The game won outright against Michigan State. You can see most of the games, 90% of the games are on underdogs. Hopefully we can win some money together. All right, let's go.